Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all good. I'm Pastor Email. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for already for the ones that you've supported. This is, I think, is our third or fourth one, and you guys have been with us for each one. So thank you so much. I need you guys to do me a huge favor before we move forward, before we introduce the panel for tonight, before we get into our hot topics. I want you to share out this broadcast. Hit this share button. Let people that you are connected to but aren't connected with us participate in this conversation. I have a feeling it's going to be a good one. It's Man Cave Part 2. I'm super excited about the people that we have with us. So let me start by saying thank you all again. Those of you who are tuning in, please share Fresh Fire. I know you're in the comments already. Let me see those fire emojis so that I know you guys are with us. This is another edition of our Fresh Fire Talks. I think we should change the name to Family Talks because that's what it feels like. Just one big family talk, just one big conversation. Malik, we see you. We are live right now on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. So whatever you're watching, wherever you're watching from, thank you so much. I want to see some more fire emojis. We're trying to get this number up to a certain number before I introduce. Hey, babe. Fern is here. What up, Fern? People from the backstage are putting their fires in, but I need to see more Fresh Fire in the comments. Adrian, you are watching from Facebook today and not YouTube. You got delivered from YouTube. Amen. Ashley, what up? Ashley, what up? Those of you who are watching, you don't see the rest of our Fresh Fire family in the comments. Kara, I was looking for you. I knew you would be here. Kara, what up? Tag some people that you know need to see this. Stefan. Nothing. What up, bro? Good to see you. Timberland, what's going on? Please tag somebody. Somebody tag Uncle Pete. Somebody tag some men, some young men. Tag somebody you know will be blessed from this conversation. Dre, Kelly. I don't see Kayla in them. Graham Jr., I see you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Please share out this program as you were coming in. We are going to get into some really dope conversation tonight. We're going to get some honest opinion about some stuff. I'm waiting for a certain number. I'm almost there. Please share it out. Tag our family. Somebody posted in our top. What up? Somebody copy and paste in our group chat, our Facebook, our private, that thing. Just somebody put it in there. We want everybody to be involved in this conversation. We're about to have family talk. I think we're going to change the name to Family Talk. I like that. That's the number I was waiting for. All right, cool. Listen, I am so excited. It is Man Cave Part 2. For those of you who were with us on Friday night for Man Cave, our deacon, Fernando McMullen, one of my best friends, he preached a tremendous word, and we had to do a follow-up. Deacon Greg, the men are on that call. Well, when they get off that call, tell them to come on Facebook. What was I saying? We're gonna follow up with part 2 of Man Talk, Man Cave. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panel for tonight, and then I'm going to deuce out, jump in the comments, and watch with the rest of you guys. So first and foremost, we have my little assistant, my little adjutant, my little guy. I love this kid so much. He's such an honest heart, such a big heart. And a faithful young dude. I'm super excited to have with us Caleb McMullen Jr. What up, man? You good?
Yes, sir. You good, man?
He's a YouTube star, so he already had all his lights and everything ready. So y'all get ready. All right, Caleb is with us. This is one of the ministry assistants. He is a property manager at Pilgrim Church. My friend, my brother, Minister Andre Robinson is with us. What up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, bro? What's going on,
Amen.
family?
Amen. God is good.
Oh, man.
I really feel like hanging out in this conversation today, but I'm not going to. Last but certainly not least, the preacher from Friday night. The preacher is in the building. He's just getting his robe together, getting his refreshments from backstage. His offering from Friday. No. I'm so excited to have it. This guy is one of the greatest minds I've ever met. I'm super excited and grateful that I'm connected to him. Deacon Fernando McMullen Jr. is with us tonight. Look, oh my God. All right, yo. This conversation
Ladies
is
and
going to be loads of fun. I'm super excited. Listen, stay with us, stay engaged. All the hot topics and everything that goes up, I'm asking that you comment, engage, whatever they're asking. Let's put it in the comments. Let's be together in this family conversation. I love you guys. Have a good conversation.
All right, cool, man. So, yo, Man Cave was totally dope. Last Friday. So just let's kind of recap that service real quick. So yo, bro, you started it off with honoring some men. So what was like? Why was that such an important way to start off Man Cave? And then Caleb, you actually did one of the tributes. So after Fernando answers that, like, please share, what it took for you to be able to write what you wrote to your dad, because you honored your dad, while your dad was here, he could hear it. So Ferns.
What's up, everybody? First and foremost, for me, sometimes men don't get their flowers until they're gone, and I don't ever want that to be the case. Anytime I have a chance to honor my father, I do. Whether it's my birthday, whether it's his birthday, whether it's my wedding. I take time to honor my father and my mother. And I think that when it comes to men, a lot of times we don't get that. Like I said on Friday, sometimes you hear we don't reward fishes for swimming, and we don't reward people for doing what they're supposed to do. But the Bible says to honor your father and your mother. And I take it a step further. Any man that helped, lay the path for me, whether he knew it or not, should be honored. So for me, that's what it was. There's a lot of people who helped us get to where we are now without even knowing it. Whether we looked at what they did right or looked at what they did wrong and decided not to do it. But we need to honor them, because people need to know that they're valued. So that was pretty much, the science behind that. I always want people to understand that they're valued.
Dope. And so Caleb, you did one of the tributes, so let's talk about that.
Well, for me, Fernando really touched on it a lot. He touched on being valued. For me, I looked at it as men, it seems that they get honored only on Father's Day. So I'm like, I thought it was a good idea that that Ferns brought it up to have an idea to honor men. So I took the time out and thought about my dad, because he was the first example in my life of what a man should be, or how a man should act, or how a man should carry himself. So that's why it was easy for me to choose him. So yeah.
Cool. And so one of the people that you paid tribute to was my dad. And so, like, one of the most important things that I learned last year in losing my dad was like, yo, I want so much to have some of those conversations. And I mean, as much as I told him I loved him, and as much as I told him I cared about him, and I took care of him, and I did all those things, you kind of reflect, and you always ask yourself that question, did I do enough? Did I really give my all to let him know, and to make him feel the love that I have for him? So, that's a very dope thing. So, one of the things that I encourage, us as brothers, like men, we don't like to talk about our feelings. We don't like to, kind of sometimes involve those things. But it was always a real great thing when my dad would grab me and be like, I love you, son. I'm proud of you. You did this, you did that. Like that was like, that was him giving me my flowers while I lived. Just not just because I was his son, but because he was actually proud. So, thank you for the tribute, Ferns, and the beautiful words that you said. So now getting into the actual service, right? So you preached from Genesis, and you talked about you hit on some key points with the creation and God making man and what he made, the environment that he made and things like that. So how did you come up with some of those points? Because one of the things that I took from it was, as much as it was very spiritual, you really took like a natural approach to everything, just with being busy, eating, working the environment that God gave you. Like that was a recap for me. That was like a great point for me. Like, you know, God created the environment first, and then he put the man in the environment, and then all he had to do was work it. So just kind of like give us like your mindset on like how you broke down and got those points. And then Caleb, you know, based off of what he says, you know, kind of like share some of the things that you got out of it as a young man coming up with what he said.
The one thing I always want to do is make sure I stay in the Bible, what I talk about. Some people preach the story, but they don't really preach the text, you know, and that's one thing that I found to be important is just read the text, you know, before you go check anything out in Hebrew or Greek or anything like that, read what the word says. And the thing about that was, you know, God actually gave me that word about 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago. And what he does was after he gives it to me, he works it in me first so that when I say it, it makes sense. I actually had to, every morning I woke up for about a month or two and to listen to that story over and over again to make sure I had the sequence properly, to make sure I had the details properly, to make sure I knew the difference between creating and forming and all those little small details, to make sure that my wording was intentional. As far as the breakdown, after reading it, the story a few times, you know, God gave me, he gave me the infinity thought to work with, which was if you were busy doing what God commanded you to do, you wouldn't be busy doing what he commanded you not to do. And then once he gave me that, then I just formed the whole sermon or the whole discussion around that. So that's usually how I come up with everything. But God gives me concepts, but I really need to read the text thoroughly over and over to make sure that I'm in the text at all times.
Dope. Caleb.
For me, it was the infinity quote, and then the way he tied it into his points. He just stated that his infinity quote was, if you were busy doing what God commanded you to do, you wouldn't be busy doing what God commanded you not to do. So now it had me think to myself, now what if the reason that we don't have the results that we want is because we were too busy focusing on somebody else's progress, or we were too busy focusing on somebody else's work? And it had me thinking to myself, because how can I expect to get somewhere if I'm not focusing on what I need to do in the environment that I'm put in? So yeah, that really touched me, because it's like, look where I put you, look what's around you, look at the resource I gave you. You're looking at everybody else's resource and what they have, but what did I give you? You can use it to your own advantage. So that's what really hit me.
Nah, that's dope. And you know, just and I love the natural aspect to it, because we hear, like, you know, as a Christian, you know, we go to church, we hear that spiritual side of everything, but the Bible does say first natural, then spiritual. So the fact that we were hitting on some spiritual points, but then you made sure that you applied the natural with some real focus, with some, like you said, some intentional focus. I thought that to be the mark. Like in this season, if we want to draw, if the church wants to draw people in, you know, everybody doesn't understand that spiritual stuff, and sometimes I just need for you to just naturally just give me a basic understanding of what this is saying, and the fact that you utilize, you know, that in creation, like, you know, it was man's time alone with God. I want to hit on that point. Man's time alone with God, right? No excuses, right? It was like when you said that in creation, it was like that accountability, right? Like, you know, that man being accountable. It was just him and God. It was nobody else to blame anything on. It was just him and God, and he was able to have a conversation. He was able to do all of those things. So let's just speak on men, right? We're taught to always pray. We're taught to always be in our word. We're taught to always be the head, the leaders, the example. Let's just hit on that in regards to the sermon topic from last Friday.
Well, like Kira said in the comments, she's exactly right. You really got to focus on you. You know, sometimes people say minding your business is just staying out of other people's business. But truthfully speaking, it means really to mind your own business, which means handle your own self, you know, handle your own business, get what you're supposed to be doing. Take care of that first. If you took care of what you're supposed to be doing, you literally will not have time for anything else. If you took care of your family, if you took care of your household, if you took care of the business ideas God gave you, if you took care of your purpose, if you took care of those little things, like there's so many different areas of wealth, you know what I mean, that we could be more wealthy in, from the social aspect to the influential aspect. to health aspect, all those things. Like I took time to deal with my health, took time to deal with my business, took time to deal with my spirituality, took time to deal with my social findings, took time to deal with like all those things. I really don't have no time for nobody else. And what I mean by that is I don't have time to be worried about what other people are doing because I'm so busy doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? So that's really the approach. God was like, look, man, you have too much to do before you perish. I don't know when I'm going to perish, but you have too much to do before you perish to be worried about what somebody else is or isn't doing. If you can help them out, cool. If you can't, then leave them where they are, you know?
Dope. So Pastor Washington put something up in the comments. Let's read it. So can we deal with if Adam ate the right stuff, he wouldn't have been hungry for the other stuff. That was like when you talked about that, man, that was heavy, bro. A garden full of opportunity, and God said, "Yo, just don't touch this one thing." Like, leave this one thing alone, but everything else, you have access completely to everything that is in this garden.
Everything.
Man.
It's
yeah.
With that one, you know, that was so key when God told me that. I really had to go back and read it and work it through in my own mind, because what he really told me was there's opportunities out there, but if you focus on what I've given you and you focus on what I surrounded you with already, those opportunities won't mean anything to you. You know what I mean? Like, people can offer you whatever they want. Nothing is going to stop them from offering you. And like I said at the end, you know, meeting the snake may have been inevitable for some, but it's how hungry will you be when he gets there? You know what I mean? And that part really messed me up, because I'm like, I got a lot to do with church. You know, I got a lot to do with my business. You know, I got a lot to do with my family. So if I'm busy with all these other trees that God has given me, then I don't got time to be worrying about other women, what people doing in their own relationships, what other businesses are doing. I don't have that kind of time, bro, because I'm literally working my day doing what I'm supposed to be doing, man.
Nah, that's a dope point. Caleb, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, most definitely. That point definitely stuck out to me, because when he said how hungry will you be when the serpents get there, I didn't only catch that in the natural state, but I caught that as in like, if you're hungry, if you're leaving yourself hungry and you're not feeding yourself to what God given you, then you're leaving the space for confusion. You're leaving the space for doubt. You're leaving the space for anything to just cuddle right in through there, where you're gonna kind of get a clouded judgment, or like a clouded disconnection between you and God. He gave you a way. He provided your way. He set a provision, but you sat there and you let yourself starve. You let yourself be hungry instead of following his directions. So then that's where that mistakes come in. Then the serpent came in. He found an opportunity. He found a little slitherway and found what you needed, or what you wanted, or what you had a taste for, and then right on.
Yeah, that was it on the nail. And then I liked how you tied in, you know, the fact that it was him and God by itself. Then he put the environment there. He put the opportunity there. He even gave him the woman and put that in the garden for him. And then, you know what I'm saying, like, because he was so focused on all the things, he wasn't even paying attention to all of the things and the opportunities that were around him. And it allowed for, you know what I'm saying, for that to happen, for that to go downhill.
Yeah, it was a big moment, man. That's another conversation on the next Man Talk, because there's so much in that scripture to talk about. But let's get to these hot topics. Let's get to these hot topics. Let's see what they got us talking about. Woo! Listen. How about those Nets? How about those Nets?
They are stacked, man. Like, if they don't win the chip this year, I don't want to hear nothing. I mean, KD, you got Harden. I mean, they done stacked that team up so much, man. Like, it's not even no competition really in the East, like, right now with all that.
Yeah, I mean, who you thinking had better moves? Is it them or the Lakers? Who got a better shot at 100% healthy?
For me, still Brooklyn.
I agree.
BK all day.
I agree. I think LeBron has played with way more all-stars in his life than Kevin Durant has. I believe so. You know, so, but I really think that it's a good time to be in Brooklyn, because if we get a Brooklyn parade, I don't know where they're gonna have it, because they can only go but to like Flatbush Extension, and they got to stop. If they go to the real Flatbush, woo,
Well, I'm there for all of it. I'm there for all of it. I'm right there in the heart of it. I'm there for all of it.
Listen, Kayla, you just know you from Brooklyn, so if they get a parade, just be out there. That's it.
Right. Get you a little Brooklyn Net shirt, or get you a Brooklyn shirt, and enjoy the festivities. Sorry, bro.
Now look at how much you want to bet all the Knicks fans be out there with Brooklyn shirts on, undercover.
Now, but you want to know what's crazy? If they win the chip, like, do you understand how disappointed that is for New York, the Knicks? Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, we ain't been like anywhere near the chip since, you know, Patrick Ewing did the little crazy finger roll and mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, started jamming it, man. Like,
listen, man, y'all was cursed from day one. Knock it off. It's nothing about that team that God has his hand on. Nothing. Nothing, bro.
I see the older guys in the comments with the "Let's go Knicks." Listen, let's
go
Brooklyn.
Poor guys. I don't know what they're gonna do with themselves, man. But the Knicks ain't going nowhere. But shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to all the moves that they making, man. It's gonna be a great time in the city, man. I promise you. That Barclays Center, man. I should be out there selling shirts. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be like Bruhman. I'm gonna be like Bruhman and Martin. I'm gonna have them little Witty Hunting shirts out there.
Listen, talking about eating 6. He not gonna stack up against that.
Please, they're not gonna make it to the number 6 seed. I'm talking about eating 6, man. Right. What other hot topics we got though? Talk to me. Ooh. Action Jackson. Action Jackson.
I'll let the older ones start on that one. I'll let y'all start on that one.
To let the older ones. What you trying to say?
First of all,
y'all got
first of all, we only a year younger than you, bro. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm as young as I think I am, man. My man, Action Jackson. Well, my thoughts on Derek Jackson are the same as they were when I first met him. I said I don't believe anything he's saying, and he looks like a clown. That's what I believe. Now, those are my personal thoughts. The thoughts and views expressed right here are not those of Fresh Fire or Pilgrim Fresh Fire or Pilgrim Church. Just get that out the way. But I told all of my my female friends and my peoples, I said something ain't right with Duke. That's what I said. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Something ain't right. I told my homegirls, he looked like the type of anybody who's that interested in what everybody else is doing is probably not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He is not busy with his own garden. I promise you. He is not busy doing what he could. He is not busy doing what he was commanded to do. So I know he's busy doing what he was commanded not to do. That's simple. That's simple. The message was for him. That's simple.
Amen.
What you think about it, Dre? Talk to me.
Man, listen, man. From the apology, the little apology video, him doing a reaction video in third person, I was like, oh, this is the most narcissistic dude I've seen in a while. But he still had control of the situation. Again, disclaimer: this is my thoughts. This has nothing to do with Fresh Fire Youth, right? But I think he catered to you're the marketing guy, right? So he catered to the market that he was trying to go after. And shout outs to the brothers. The brothers, kind of was trying to tell y'all like, hey, yo, this he not really this ain't it. He not talking to what's really actually, going to build you up. But it was more so like he was just throwing the blame on the fellas as usual, and the women was set, clear, free, high in the sky. And then I think a lot of the ladies, they took to his information a little bit better because, he was attractive. He was this, he was that, the celebrity guy, he got the muscles, he got this, right? So, you got two big people out here right now, right? You got the Derek Jackson and you got the Kevin Samuels, right? And a lot of ladies hate Kevin Samuels because of what he talks about. But, right, it appeals more to what guys have been saying for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, on that topic, I just think, he took advantage of what his situation was, and he got exposed just like anybody really, like anybody else. He got exposed, and he tried to, do his little recap it up.
Wait, hold on. Before we go any further, your boy Adrian said, "Don't date a prayer warrior." Now, the thoughts and views expressed by the praise and worship leader does not reflect that of Pilgrim Church, Pilgrim Assemblies International, nor Pilgrim Fresh Fire Youth. What say you? What say you on it? You got anything to say on that, Caleb? You got anything to say?
On the Derrick Jackson situation?
No, forget him for a second. What Adrian just said. Forget him for a second. We'll tap back in with that. I got a good memory.
I have for that. Don't
Deflect.
I have nothing to say on that one.
Deflect immediately.
I have nothing to say on that one.
I think maybe he was talking. Just to chime in. I think maybe he was talking about how like, because she was saying some things and she did her own little lives and her own little videos, and I guess in like some of the stuff she was saying, like sound a little a little crazy, but that's just that, and I think that's what he was alluding to, the prayer warrior side. But I don't agree with you, Adrian.
I'll take it from here, right? I understand what Adrian is saying. He's missing a lot of words in the sentence, so it seems like it's out of context. I do want a woman that prays, right? Mm-hmm. But I do not need somebody who over spiritualizes everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I do need somebody to be able to get to God, because I don't know if something happened to him. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to get to Mama Gordon as soon as possible. But I don't need anybody that's going to over spiritualize basketball games, over spiritualize cooking, over spiritualize a mere conversation about walking in the park. I don't have time for it. You know what I mean? Thank God for you and all that good stuff. But I don't need that side of you. You know what I mean? Caleb, don't say a word about this topic, dog. Trust me. Just whatever you think, and just write it down and put it in the book later, bro. These conversations get it's don't touch it, man. But Derrick Jackson, back to Derrick Jackson real quick. He's an interesting character because he uses his the leverage of his good looks, leverage of his physique, the leverage of his intellect, and all those things to really it looks like he really uses them, allegedly he uses them to lure people in, and having a daughter, Dre, as you have, and me having a daughter soon, you always want to give them game, but it's hard to keep them from everything. So, people like that are out there praying, and, you really got to pray for them and try to give them the game as much as possible. But, you can tell from the people who were accusing him and things like that. Like I said, these are all accusations, so it's all allegedly, but you can tell that he wasn't doing all this stuff just because he wanted men to treat women better. You know what I'm saying? So all that good stuff, man. But you got any more thoughts on him, Dre?
Yeah, that was you pretty much summed it up. Yeah, like I said the same thing you said, Randy. Like that was the epitome of a narcissist, but he was playing chess, even in that mind control, like was hitting on a all-time high, with him. And not to say that some of what he was saying, right? Because not to say that some of his points weren't valid, right? I think there's always a little everybody's valid to some point with what they're talking about or the soapbox that they're standing on. But you got to be able to discern somebody that is saying something to you to impact you to make you better, or they're saying something to impact you to do something, right? At the end of that reaction video, it was like, yo, 50% off on my book. And it's like, I'm like, wait, whoa. like what's happening right now?
Right.
Like,
bro, like we said earlier, when the serpent offered Eve something to eat, it wasn't because he was giving to her because she was hungry.
Yeah.
It's all about the opportunity. You see what I'm saying? He knew what would come from, he knew what would happen when he did that. And that's all that was, bro. So, it's all about the motive behind it, like you said. You can feed me, cool, but why are you feeding me is the question. And that's a bar right there. Now let's get to next hot topic. What has the pandemic taught me? You want to take a stab at that first, Caleb?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that first. That pandemic has taught me to maintain a relationship. Not just only with God, but also with people. I'll touch on the God basis first. in the beginning, once the pandemic initially begun, we wasn't in the tabernacle as much, or we wasn't in the church as much. So now people are used to coming in every Sunday, even Wednesdays, every Friday, and we're getting the word, we're getting prayer, we're getting praise and worship, and then to now get into a stage where we're not really getting as much or as much as we used to. But now in that time, it's really based on your relationship. If you're maintaining your relationship, if you're continuously feeding yourself, even when you're not in the building. And I think that has definitely taught us a lot. Now on the friends level, I think connection is definitely important, because connection with your friends or your family can definitely help you simply keep your mind together, simply maintain your mind. I think connection was definitely important to me, because I've built even like I wouldn't say with my friend, like more family. So it was definitely, those two were definitely key for me, maintaining relationships.
Definitely. For me, as far as pandemic was concerned, I learned how to apply the knowledge that I have. You know, it was cool to know the scriptures. It was cool to be able to quote them. It was even cool to be able to write them as a status on Facebook. But when you knee deep and you ain't feeling well and something's wrong with you and you need to be healed, it's different. You know what I mean? Like, even you can have the faith all you want, you know, but when it's tested is when you determine whether you have it or not, you know? So it was really that, me applying the knowledge I have, understanding that whatever I learned may not matter for the future. So, you know, I went to college, I got my degree and all that great stuff. But the way the world pivoted and shifted, you know, within pandemic taught me that, yo, you got to be able to shift and move with it, you know? So just understanding to always be current with your intelligence. You know, some of our intelligence is outdated. I mean, it's nothing wrong with learning how to use a payphone, but ain't that many payphones out there. You know what I'm saying? So even though you're intelligent, you got to be intelligent in the right areas, and your intelligence has to be relevant. And Tati pointed out a good point too. Church attendance does not mean an actual relationship with God. Absolutely. They're two totally different things. You know, and having a relationship with God has to be built. You know, it's not just coming to church to meet him. You know, he has to meet you. And a lot of times, you know, we go to meet God, but we don't wait for him to meet us back. So it's a lot of little things the pandemic taught, man. Like within a year, you know, we could all write a book. I encourage everybody to write the experiences down, because museums are filled with artifacts from people during times, you know, and they had no idea that these things would be history in the future. But the pictures that we had, all that kind of stuff, man, that stuff's gonna be necessary in the future, because our children have no clue. Well, some of my children won't have the clue about what happened, man. But if you took photos and videos and stuff like that, man, to capture the times, stuff's gonna be dope. But what you got, Dre?
It's kind of a little bit of what you guys said, but just and I say it all the time. Anytime somebody asks me the question, the ability to just reset. The pandemic just taught, like, it made us slow down. It made us really, you know, gave us a moment to think. It gave us a moment to digest. For some of us that, you know, may have necessarily been out of work, it gave you the ability to reinvent yourself, right? Gave you the ability to now maybe go and take that course that you wanted to take. I know, you know, like within Fresh Fire, like during the pandemic, a lot of businesses, you know, were produced, right? People started tapping into the talents and the gifts that God has given them. Things that they didn't necessarily know that they actually had inside of them. So
Right.
you know, the ability to just be able, like, you can reset, you can hit the reset button and start this all over again. So that and it adds, right? So the pandemic, for some of us, it added to who we are. You know, and you know, just piggybacking off of what we did in Man Cave is, you know, that alone time with God. So them prayers got stronger, right? Right, eating that whole role that the Bible tells us to do as Christians, right? That got a little different, right? Losing my father in the pandemic, right? And going through those emotions and going through all of the stuff that entailed. It was different, right? It was different. You know, those conversations with God, asking, you know, the why question and the this and the that, like it literally hit different. And you know, you learn something about yourself. You also learned in this pandemic whether you can swim or whether you're gonna allow every little walk of every little toss and turn of life to allow you to sink. So for a lot of us, we understood that we have strength and we got sweat equity in whatever it is that we're doing. And we're able to continue to strive. So yeah, I mean, the pandemic taught some other stuff, but that's like one of the main couple of points that I could definitely account for.
Yeah. Next hot topic is, how have you worked on developing a relationship with God? That's an interesting one because I tried to accomplish a lot last year. You know, engage, marriage, all that stuff within a year, and it was tough. It was tough trying to get things on. You know, I won't divulge too much right now. I'll put in a book in a later date, but you know, you ask God for certain things, and sometimes your answer don't look like, you know, how you designed it in your head. You know, we asked God for a place to live. You know, the first thing that we got was a 10-day notice. You know, so I said, now maybe my prayer was wrong. Maybe did I say something wrong, God? Did you misinterpret what I was saying? I need somewhere to go. But what he was really doing was getting rid of your option B. You know what I mean? And you can talk about that later on after you come through it. But while you're going through it, it's a total different testament of faith, man. So my relationship with God, he really became my provider, because now that I'm head of a household, you know, I really have to lean on everything as far as God providing, man. He's been opening up doors like crazy, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to share the long story now because we don't have enough time, but the doors that God has opened just helps me to understand that he was a provider. So, you know, it's just so many things that we've been hearing over the years of what God is. But now I'm starting to realize it with personal experiences. It's not something that's third person. It's something that's, I'm a primary resource, you know, to what God is doing and what God has done.
So I'll Caleb, you wanna jump on, or?
Oh yeah, I could jump onto that. But for me, it was simply just yeah, like the reading the word and praying, yeah. But it was also opening myself up more to God. I feel like we may not notice, we may have not noticed it when things were back in when we could go outside and we was going about our day, going to work and stuff like that. But now that we're home, it's like, well, home majority of the time. Now it's like, how about you can actually reveal yourself to yourself, if that makes sense. Now, because I was something that I was reading where it was like, reveal my heart to myself. So I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Because you wouldn't think about like revealing your heart. Like you would always think like you're doing stuff fine, you're doing stuff the right way. But it's like, what are your true intentions? How do you really feel? So it was just like opening myself up more to God, like showing myself, like even my flaws, like my mistakes, like even things like that. And now I recognize that even when I open up myself more to God, he handles me carefully, and he's like, there's nothing I'll withhold from you. All you have to do is just open yourself up to me. And I think that was very key, building a relationship with God.
Now I couldn't agree with you more. I'm gonna tie in something that was from the last thing, but G Mac has said this pandemic brought me and my son closer than before, right? So through that, right, that relationship with God, like that pandemic did that, right? So how did it do that? I literally was praying more, like all those 6 a.m. Phone calls. It was like, yo, everybody, like I don't understand. It was like every week I had to pray at 6 o'clock in the morning, but those prayers were not just helping me, but they were helping other people. I prayed out of myself, out of practicality. I prayed out of just every emotion and everything that I was going through. Reading the word, right? Now the word has a different insight. It's a different revelation, right? Talking to God and just being honest about like how I feel and what's going on. God was able to speak to me, I'm saying, through other things. Those times where I was feeling alone, there was that text message that came where it was like somebody just randomly called me that wouldn't call me and say, hey, yo, bro, just calling to check in on you. And that those things help develop that relationship, right? So stopping and taking the time, just really genuinely as taking the time. As men, we kind of get so caught up in a whole bunch of stuff, but just taking the moment to just stop and just literally just have that one-on-one time, like we were in the garden by ourselves, one-on-one. Again, right? And developing that relationship before we went after the fruit that he ain't tell us to eat. So yeah, those are ways that we worked it. So so for other people that in the chat, the same way you work that relationship with your son and it brought y'all back together and it got y'all back closer and tighter, it's the same thing with your relationship with God. You got to work it, right? First, you got to want to, and he's there, he wants to, and then you just have to allow that to take on a discipline and a life in you, so that all of those fruits and all those trees, all those opportunities of your environment that you're in, they just manifest themselves on a totally different level.
Yeah. Kelly said something just now. She said, honesty to God is so important, and not being afraid to say how you really feel. That honesty to God part is something that we kind of just tell God sometimes what we're feeling, and that's cool. That's great. But sometimes we have to be honest, with God, as there's some parts of us that we can control and we can change. We don't want to. We want him to do it, and a lot of times we try to give him everything, which is cool and all, but there's some things that we have to. So there's two parts a lot of times. There's a spiritual part, the part that we can't see, and then there's the part that we can control. And a lot of times God removes the appetite from us, but we're so used to constantly doing it and the patterns and the habits of doing it that we just keep doing it. And we like, God, I need you to take this away from me. And God is like, yo, I did my part. You don't even desire it no more. You just got free time on your hands and used to doing it. So you just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even a struggle anymore for you. You just bored, and there's a total difference. And sometimes we got to be honest with ourselves. We're just bored. And because we're not busy doing what we're supposed to be doing, we start doing those other things again. You know what I mean? And there's some things that we really need God to take away from us. Then there's some things that God is like, yo, I don't know what else you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all watch Married at First Sight, man, y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? God, give me a sign. I gave you 17 signs and you need another one. Like, I'm not understanding. You know what I'm saying? So that relationship with God is important because you need to know what God is going to remove from you and what you need to be removing from yourself.
Yeah, because it's his will, right? So you got yours and then there's his, right? And for some reason we try to make the two marry, and that's not gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? And so what happens is that he delivers you, like you said, he delivers you from it, but because in your will, like you feel like it's this, right? It just always clashes, and it goes back to exactly what you said, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. It's we gotta make sure that we always honest about it's me. Like you said, Caleb, reveal yourself to yourself.
Yeah,
it ain't got nothing to do. It ain't got nothing to. It's always about God, but understand when it's you. You know what I'm saying? Next, our topic: how important is it for a man to have mentorship in his life? Dre, you go with that one. I think that a lot of guys look up to you and they don't even know they look up to you. So how important have you been in the lives of others? Because you're an educator, you may know guys from around the way and all that good stuff. But there's people who look up to you that you may not even know until later on in life. So how has that aspect been important for you as far as men, or being a mentor to men, or having mentorship in your life?
It was extremely important. Just one of the things that, as youth, as young people, sometimes we, a lot of older people try to impart knowledge, and sometimes we just, we too busy running around doing this, that, and the fourth, that we don't ever take a moment to sit down and honor the individual to be able to get that information. So as a young man, I was just a young man that, hey, if you was having a conversation, I'm around to hear the conversation. Being in the room is important, right? So mentorship, being around people is important because there are deposits that happen without you even knowing. And when you get those deposits, you also get somebody that you find that you can go to. Somebody that you find that, hey, look, they went through that situation, they got and they endured, right, through some crazy times. So I could do that. So you get that empowerment. So mentorship is extremely important. And so I think with that, coupled with all of my own experiences and just being around men, right? As an educator, right? Learning math, right? I had a math mentor, right? Most people, if you ever sat in my mentor's class, he's long gone, but his legacy of how he taught and who he was as a mathematician, it rests inside of me. Where somebody could be in his class and now they're in my class and I'm doing my thing and they're like, yo, you ever heard of this teacher name, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's my mentor. They're like, yo, I can see it because some of those deposits are in you, right? It's still Dre's personality and it's still Dre's conversation, but the outline of it is there, right? And that's what legacy in mentorship does. There's some people that paved the way. So you don't have to rewrite the blueprint. You don't have to rewrite the sketch. All you have to do is take it and improve on it. So, for those that, that watch me or whatever the case is, I'm humbled. I stay in a humble position. And I was humbled to the men that took the time to just be able to say the little things that they said to me. So it's extremely important. You have to be able to identify some people sometimes that'll get you through, because sometimes it's not on your own strength and it's not on your own will. But if you got some people that you're connected to that could hold you up, that could be a guiding light, that may know some of the things that you don't know, that could direct you to the right situations. All those things are important. So mentorship amongst men, right? Forget the ladies right now. Just mentorship among men empowering men. That's actually you hit on it, bro. Friday. That's one of the things that I want to do, right? That's actually one of the things that's written down, right? So I'm believing God for that vision when it actually comes to pass, like when that vision comes to pass, and that's exactly what it's about. Mentorship, men mentoring men building men to be better and to do better.
Absolutely. Kara touched on it, improve the blueprint. I think sometimes we don't know the power of writing things down and documenting things. The late, great Miles Monroe said, this world is run by dead people. What does that mean? That means that the ideas that we live by, democracy, republicanism, all these other things, are things that people who died wrote. We read in books and we exchange information from books that were written, from videos that were written, whether it be Malcolm X, whether it be Nipsey Hussle, whether it be Martin Luther King. There's so many people. What's the guy? Marcus Garvey. These guys have had systems and blueprints that they put in place. These guys are long gone, and things that they were talking about were still being discussed today. So sometimes mentorship is not as direct as you'd want it. Growing up, I always say, shoot, I didn't have a mentor. You know what I mean? And for years, I was moving mentorless, but then God woke me up one day and said, yo, you got a father. You know what I mean? He may not know everything that you want to know, but understand, you learn how to tie a tie because of him. You learn how to play basketball because of him. I'm not that great a basketball player, so I'm not blaming him for that. But, it's certain things that you learn from the man in your life. And then there's other men that come along and they deposit things in you. But your first wall should be your father. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if he didn't know something, I listened to as much as he knew. And I went and I refined it. Like Kara said, I improved the blueprint. And every generation, no generation should have to work as hard as a generation prior to them. If that's the case, then we didn't do our job. If Caleb wouldn't have to work as hard with Fresh Fire as we did, we have a problem. You know what?
Right.
Because we don't want them to have a work ethic, but they shouldn't have to work and do the same thing that we did. You know what I'm saying? So they should always be able to make it better, man. So I think mentorship is crucial and key. But as men, we got to document things more because our stories are being told by other people when they could have been told by us. You know what I'm saying? How about you, Caleb? What you got for this?
You definitely touched on one thing I want to say. Mentorship builds character. Also, mentorship makes it easy.
Yes.
Like you said, we have a work ethic, but yet it makes it easier for us. I feel like if you don't have a mentor or an example in your life, then your mentality or like your mindset, it just kind of leads astray because you don't have nothing to lean on. So just kind of you're just falling straight down. When you have a mentor, they're there to guide you, they're there to correct you. They're there to lead you the right way. So mentor is guiding. Yeah, it's very key. It's very key.
Yeah, they said. I'm sorry, Dre. Go ahead.
Nah, it was about the comment, and I'm going with you. Go ahead.
Got you. Yeah, somebody said that before. They said there's no shortcuts to success. But somebody came behind them and said, yes, there is mentorship. If I can tell you which way to go, you know, because I've been there, then I cut your time in half. We should always be able to cut your time in a fourth. You know what I mean? You don't know how to pray? Let me teach you. You don't know how to do certain things? Let me teach you. Let me show you. And y'all so dope that y'all got our minds and your minds. So you got the technology behind the technology that y'all know, because you know we were born in an era where technology wasn't as prevalent, and now we had to learn it and figure it out at the same time. Y'all didn't have that. Some of y'all might not know what the computer looks like. That's great for y'all. So y'all just go straight into it. So if y'all take the information we got, plus the information y'all have already, man, y'all be through the roof, man. And just always remain humble. Always understand that God is first, and understand that stay active in what He gave you to do. You know, and like I said, man, it should always be a shortcut. Mentorship. You'll still have to go through your trials and all that great stuff, but it should be a shortcut at all times.
Somebody wrote, mentorship builds confidence, and that's the total key. Because you walk with the understanding that because these guys have laid the way, they've laid the path. I'm confident that the tools that I'm getting are going to be successful, right? So my swag is different. The way I approach it is totally different than,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like if I didn't have that mentorship. So it's extremely important. That was definitely a dope comment.
Absolutely. You know, Bishop gave us a building. Imagine if we had to buy a building to do Fresh Fire.
Bro.
You see what I'm saying? Next hot topic. Top 3 characteristics a man should work hard at having. Top 3 characteristics a man should work hard at having. You want to start this off, Dre, or you want me to start it off?
You can start it off. 2 of them just popped in my head. I'm thinking about the 3rd one.
All right. Top 3. Number 1. I don't know if a relationship with God is a characteristic, but I'm going to say a relationship with God. A positive, healthy relationship with God. Not just a relationship, because some relationships aren't good, but a positive, healthy relationship. Second, knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is something that people speak about, but they don't really take the time to understand what knowledge of self is, because some people don't know themselves. You know, they think they know themselves. They're aware of what they went through and all those good things, but there's no true knowledge of self. Knowing, and sometimes it takes time. You know, it takes time, but it also takes intention. You have to be intentional about learning yourself. You know, back in the day, I always said when it comes to dating, I'm not dating to learn the person. I'm dating to learn myself. You know, because if you don't end up with that person throughout the years, you can still take everything you learn with you if you know in yourself. Yeah, you get to meet people and you get to understand other people, but if you date to learn yourself and understand certain things about yourself, you'll know what you can accept, you know what you don't accept, and you have a whole higher value for yourself. So first one, relationship with God. Second, knowledge of self. 3, I mean, it's kind of entangled in the first one, but just be kind at all times, man. Just have a spirit of kindness, you know, because this world going to test you, 100%. The world going to test you. But yeah, you go ahead, Dre.
So I like those. One of mine was being intentional. Definitely. You know, everything that you do, it should have a purpose. It should mean something. The second is integrity. You know, being a man that is full of integrity is important. Being an honest, you know, integral person is extremely important as a man. People should look to you, and your nay should be nay, and your yay should be yay, at all times. So just having that integrity is like an extreme character that you should possess. And the 3rd one I'll say is patience. Being patient, like knowing that listen, hey, everything doesn't, you know, like as a man, sometimes you want things to move in a certain way. And the Bible says, yo, look, like I got it, like I got stuff laid up and I got stuff worked out, but you got to be patient. and everything will happen in its time. So, you know, as a man, as a father, as a husband, right? All of those, like that patience is a key point. You know, so those would be my 3. I don't think there's necessarily like, I don't know if there's any more that I would put before that, but those would be three good ones for me.
Yo, before you go, Caleb, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but that patience is a big one, and that's not only patience with other people; it's patience with yourself. You know, because every day you learning new things about yourself. I never understood when people say, if I got to teach somebody how to treat me, then I shouldn't be with that person. That's all cool and all, but you don't even know yourself. So how are you unable to teach somebody else what you want, but you don't know yourself fully? People on journeys to find themselves for years, bro. For years. You know what I'm saying? And some people die on that journey, bro. So the patience part, man, that's a powerful one. Because, a lot of times we try to have patience with other people, but we get frustrated at ourselves, man. And as a man, there's going to be a lot of things that come up, But I'm sorry, Caleb, you go ahead. I could go for hours.
Nah, you're straight. I think the three for me, the three that came to mind was being consistent, gaining consistency. When my next one was being, let me see if that makes sense first. Being lovable or spreading love. I think something along those lines. And then the last one for me was self-care. The reason I had self-care is because how you treat yourself reflects how you treat others. So, yeah, those are my three.
Yo, what's the first one you said?
Consistency.
That's a powerful one.
Powerful one.
That's a powerful one, and it goes far beyond relationships. It goes far beyond it's just a spiritual walk. That's across the board, bro. Being consistent, not letting people rattle you enough to change who you are. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that this part's about you. You shouldn't change it yourself. But I'm saying that consistency, like businesses thrive off consistency. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be the most talented, but if you're the most consistent, man, listen, you should have talent. But if you don't have talent, consistency, bro. You know what I mean? I should be able. I don't know, bro. I can take some time on consistency, bro. That one that's a special one. What's the last one you said? I feel like
self-care.
That's another one, bro. That's another one. Self-care. Now, for me personally, I don't know. I'm understanding it differently now as I'm older. I don't know if I'm ever going to get a manicure as a guy. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's self-care. But I don't want nobody putting bristles on my fingers. That's just me. But self-care, I'm getting it from a total different lens now that I'm older. You know what I'm saying? That self-care is important, bro, because what does Adrian say? Consistency puts you in rooms talent can't get you in. Yeah. Talent may get you in the room, but consistency gonna keep you there. And then integrity. That integrity is something else. Because people will remember if you weren't integral when you got what you got. People will remember you. Now, they may exercise grace and favor on your life, but sometimes it just don't work out that way. Don't work out that way, bro. So those three were good, bro. Those three were good. Dre, what was the second one you said? I'm sorry.
So integrity was the second one. Being intentional was the first one.
That intentional, bro. That intentional one is we can spend some time on intentional, bro, because you really in our lives we realize that we've done things without intention. We've just been, if you plant a seed without intention, you could be in the wrong season. It could be in the wrong soil. You got to be intentional with everything, bro. Even down to giving. You know what I mean? Yeah. The seed and the soil is just as important with each other. So that intention is a pop. I feel like we could sit here on all these topics for a long time, bro.
You want to know what's so funny with the intentional too, with the example that you gave? And sometimes we intend to plant the seed and we intend for it to grow, but when that harvest comes in, we ain't ready for it, right? But this is what I intended to happen, right? So I intended for this to happen, but I wasn't prepared for what was coming when it actually manifested itself. So like,
preach.
Bro, that intentional is a tough one, man. Like you said, we stay all day.
Yeah, you intended to plant the seed, but you had no idea, or you didn't expect the harvest. What do you think the seed was going to do? What I mean? You left the seed. You left the seed. And then you got to be intentional with the seed that you're getting. You know what I'm saying? You out there going to buy corn seeds and looking for tomatoes. You know, it just doesn't. You got to understand. You know what I mean? Like where you planting it, who you planting it with. You got to be intentional with whose hand you put the seed in, because they may throw it away,
Right.
or they may not have an idea of what the seed is supposed to do. So this is, man. Listen, man. We could stay here all day, man. But do we have any questions? Any questions? I'm ready. Yo, this has been good, man. I love these type of things, man. You know, you might have a lot of people in front of you, but they're not in front of you at the same time. So you gotta look in the faces of people texting and, you know, going to the bathrooms on you and all that stuff, man. This is beautiful. So let me see. We got any questions? Let's see. Questions going once. Questions going 1.5. Questions going twice. I'm trying, man. Maybe they ain't got no questions for us, man. All right, cool. No questions. Final thoughts. I'll start off. Just understand who you are. That can be anything from how you think, what you like to eat, taste buds, the gifts God has given you. Knowledge of self is important, because if you don't know yourself, then how are you going to teach somebody else who you are? And also document things in life. Even if you're not a great writer, you know, put it in a voice note, put it on a video, save it to your phone, because God forbid something happens to you. You want people to understand you through you. A lot of times we leave our stories in the hands of others, and then it don't get told right. You know what I mean? Or it gets told through the perception that they have of you. But always document things. It's important, man. And always have integrity.
Yeah, Caleb.
Okay. Final thoughts. Well, for me are definitely I mean, we say it to women all the time, but men as well. You're valuable as well. Value yourself. Take the time to reflect on yourself. Take some time to spend, like, to see how you feel about yourself. Write it down. Get a journal. Like you said, document things. You know, it could be all a lot easier if you just actually take the time out to do it. Also, I want to touch on this as well, because I didn't get to say my part in this, but it was heavy on my heart, because it was.
Go ahead, preach, Don. Preach.
It was about the Derek Jackson thing, right? And I think we can stay there for a minute, but right. So let me get comfortable. So right for this, right? I'm gonna just say he's interesting, right? I'm gonna just leave it at that. Because the reason I say that is because what he did, I don't consider it a mistake. It wasn't like he did it one time and then he got better. He did it multiple times. And I feel like what we get confused is that we allow people to continue to do things over and over to us, and then they consider it as a mistake. But no, it's actually abuse. They continue to take advantage of our feelings or the state that we're in, and they continue to take advantage of our feelings or even our insecurities. If I'm relating to the female, and they call it and they claim it as a mistake, but it's actually abuse. Because love, if he so-called had it for her, love is not abusive. Love is not manipulative. Love is caring. Love is kind. Love is I'm just rambling right now. You know, that whole topic is just crazy, man. But it just self-awareness, self-care, man. Just take some time to reflect on yourself. That's it.
Powerful. Powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that was definitely dope with the self-care. Your legacy, work the opportunities and the environment God gave you so that your legacy carries on to the next generation and the generations that follow. The second thing I will, as a last thought is, you got to be right because there's others watching you. So that mentorship from a distance, from afar, is extremely important. So your actions, your words, be accountable for them, because they impact someone else's experience. They impact someone else's thoughts and ideas. And if we want to make a better generation, or we want to build better individuals, then we got to make sure we start with being better men, spiritually, naturally, mentally, physically, emotionally. So we got to hit on all those areas.
Absolutely. One more thing before we go. Listen, honor people while they're here. I promise you, you won't regret it. You will not regret it. If you get a chance right now, tag somebody in the comments, a male that you love. Let him be assigned to you, though. Don't go tagging people, telling them you love them that's married and is not your husband. And I promise you. But just honor people while they're here, man.
Yeah.
Hit them up, whether you text them, tag them down here, tell them you love them. Fellas, I love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man. And I can't wait to do this again. Thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in. This is Man Cave Part 2, and we love y'all. Peace.
Yes, sir. We out of here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.